things forward when you bring them to their attention.
Same question, Larry Chisholm. Thank you.
Well, if I got the question right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a couple of cats down on them horses that they got downtown, because that's the disparity in treatment of our policing over here on the north side. When there's problems downtown, they will put in extra security, they will drag in a couple sheriffs, they'll pull a couple of troopers, and they'll put some guys on some horses. And they say, get out them cars, walk those streets, and make it happen. A young man got shot in Uptown, and they had Uptown locked down for about 2 weeks until they found that person that shot that gentleman. The disparity in treatment is what we are facing here on the north side. They ride by, they do a drive-by if they hear a shot. They don't get out to check out what might have happened. That's one of the problems that we face, is that the disparity in treatment of our police force is the direct result of the council member. They're currently doing stings operations on Broadway that was based upon 3,000 or so cell phones disappearing at Target. So suddenly every business on Broadway that sold cell phones was supposed to have gotten those. That's disparity. We cannot have that. Those are the things that I'm looking to change in our policing. And whether Dolan's there or not, that's really not the issue. The issue is if he's party to it, he's got to go. But either way, we got to make a change.
Thank you. Kenya McKnight.
Thank you. I think that we really need to pay close attention to the reappointment that the mayor just suggested for Chief Dolan. That's a serious concern for our community, especially since the mayor chief actually is in charge of the department. I had Mr. Sanders about the session and talked about Chief McManus and Dolan, and he told me that McManus had the approach, but he had the system. And so we know McManus was a key more precinct, the same idea that having the approach. When he first got into us, he sent out DVDs to all the officers to talk about the importance of how to interact with citizens in the community. That was really important. So I would say that we need to pay attention to the agreement again to Chief Dolan, and also we need to enact more community policing, more systems like Mad Dads. Except we don't need just Mad Dads to do it. We need other organizations to step up and community to admit it is your duty and responsibility to provide and protect us here. And we've got to have standards for how we're going to live. And so if you won't, then I guess the police will continue to do it. But more importantly, we need more people enter into the law enforcement. We can't complain about something they're not willing to change. These are not new problems. This is old. We need more people to enter into those fields to become the law enforcement. How many of us are engaged in that? We can talk about what they ain't doing and what they're not doing right and complain about it. How many of us have gone to law school? How many of us actually work with the police? And not those who just get a check, but those who are engaged and concerned for the good of our community. That's where my focus is. Thank you.
Well, one thing I'd like to see is it seems to have become common practice for containment of problems, containment of the drugs in the neighborhood, not elimination, not prosecution. It's looking at a problem happening or something. I don't want to start keeping containment of the problems. I want to start seeing the problems resolved. Because that does not help our young children, young adults. It doesn't help the community. We don't see deals going on in the street, but it still exists. Some of these small stores, if you know which ones they are, you can go in and buy a glass pen and get a stem, is what they call it, I believe, in order to smoke cocaine. I think that's right. I'd like to see a respectful police force for city council. I'd like to see everybody working in a teamwork effort.
Very, very good question. Thank you for the answer questions you have presented, and I'll be presenting those now. We'll start again with Natalie Johnson-Lee. If elected, what would be your strategy to curb your crisis? How will you restore families either keeping their homes or relocating? Natalie Johnson-Lee, 1 minute, please.
First of all, I would say that I would agree with Councilman Nelson's move to do a foreclosure, moratorium on foreclosure. One of the things that we're looking at is like the land trust option that actually helps people stay, be able to stay in their homes, But what happens is the community owns the land. Some of the things that concern the community is if the land turns over and goes into investors. Well, if you do a land trust option, what will happen? The community owns it, but the homeowner will own what they sell. It not only the equity, but it keeps that gains available to another person. And also, as far as I think we have to be very conscious of what the role this council plays to help people get relocated. Thank you.
Thank you. Lee Chisholm.
I think one of the problems with the current homes is that there is very little loan modifications taking place with the homes that are in foreclosure. So one of the key components of it is that we also have homes that have went through the foreclosure process and people are buying at basically pennies on the dollar. $5, $10, $15,000. They've been going to gimmick and so on, and anything sells them for 170, 180. So one of the strategies I like to see is to help relocate the people in foreclosures into a home that's already been foreclosed on, but it's back, it's rehab, but it's at a modest price. Because you can't knock out a $300,000 mortgage or $250,000 or whatever it might be, because the banks aren't allowing that, and the strategies that tax consequences don't allow. So you have to look at that person out of that affordable home that's already went through that process. That's one of the strategies. Moratorium works, but you still got to knock down the principal. That's when the person comes back into the house.
Thank you, Lady Chisholm. Kenya McKnight.
I think first we have to stop using this term foreclosure prevention as loosely as we're using, because there's no real foreclosure prevention work being done. You have to actually be in foreclosure to actually get help. Prevention means to me that you get help before you go into foreclosure. So I just need to be clear about that. I want to say the city is going in a good direction to address it. However, how will we qualify the programs the city put in place? We can't modify. There are programs that the city has, the Advantage program, such as their investment in the gimmick program, which allows people who have gone through that process to regain home ownership through the contract for deed process, as well as the urban homeowners. Those are great programs. We just don't qualify for them. We have to make maybe $38,000 to $40,000 to even also been investing for the past year into the land trust model, where there's much money that was given to the city for the foreclosures to invest in that model so that the city can actually purchase the land when people buy homes. And so it doesn't really stay with us, it stays with the city. But unless we're running the city, then it doesn't stay with us. So I just say that we modify what's in place, and definitely I agree the communities own the land, and we need to put money to the hands of the homeowners, take them to access the hoops they have to jump through, just counseling and maybe pension.
Thank you. Roger Smith. The question is, strategies to curb home foreclosure crisis. How would you restore families either keeping their homes located? 1 minute.
Well, first, I'd like to see about implement something as banks will do work on your house, and then it ended up being a lot more money than was anticipated. I know of a place for housing the improvements and then the loss of a job. So therefore, they had and couldn't afford them. And then I lost a good neighbor. I see ways of people from the community. So I'm trying to talk about it, where the community councils can donate or donate money and taught how to invest that in the community. This kind of money is usually to a community resident, less the bank than they are the community that loaned the money and becomes back to the community.
Will be for 30-second answers. Lots of good questions. What I want to do is to be as clear and as concise. And point A, B. We'll go down with Ms. McKnight and then go in the dark with Ms. Chisholm, final with Matty Johnson. 40% is highest in the state. How would you address this as a member of the council?
Before I address that, let me just say that Wells Fargo has actually donated many homes to the Urban Homeworks program for free. So I would suggest that model still be used for churches. I think we can actually save people and actually replace people back into the church urbanism, not just urban. For me, it's in the mind, and I didn't just been right, spit it, etc. McDonald's bring any fresh in the state of Minnesota.
Mr. Chisholm, 30 seconds, please.
Well, first thing you do is you start that little program I like to call the little short bus entrepreneurship program. We have not had a strong entrepreneurship program on this side of town. I took a couple kids last summer down to Park Market, and all I had to do was sell a CD with a flower on the front.